Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. So I'm sure I'm not the only one that's been playing around with the FPL website in the last few days and looking at players that you could buy. I've made a bit of a shortlist of players that have caught my eye, and I thought I'd just do a quick video and show you who's on my shortlist. Hopefully it'll help you guys pick out a few players that are maybe not on your shortlist, but maybe in the future there will be. So let's just jump into it. So here we have my goalkeeping shortlist. I've put them into three sections: a premium, a mid-price and a budget, just so we know which sections they fit into. So in my premium goalkeepers, I've got Sels, Sanchez and Trafford. Sels did really well at Nottingham Forest last season, so I think he's still one that should be on our shortlist. Then there's Robert Sanchez. Chelsea did really well the back end of the season, and they did really well in the Club World Cup. And then lastly, we've got Trafford, who's been promoted with Burnley, and he'll be potentially moving to Man City in the next few days. It will be interesting to see if he gets the #1 spot over Edison, or Edison leaves. Until I'm 100% sure he's nailed #1, I won't be buying him, but he's somebody that's on my shortlist and one that I'm going to keep an eye out on. If he keeps playing in the pre-season games, maybe I do take a punt on him. If Edison leaves, then maybe he does become #1 and I buy him then. But for $5 million, a goalkeeper, you need to be assured that he's going to be starting every week. So there's other options that is on the cards until I know that for certain. Into the mid-price section, I've still got Petrovic and Kelleher, who was in my first draft of the side. So if you've not watched that, go and have a look at that. So yeah, I've got them two still in my shortlist. And I've got Areola at West Ham. They've got a good opening set of fixtures. We'll see if he's still going to be the #1 by the end of the deadline. I'm still unsure if West Ham go and buy a goalkeeper. And then lastly, we've got Jose Sarr at Wolves. I think he's a good option at 4.5 million. Currently 4 of them players are right at the top of my list, and it's Sels, Sanchez, Petrovic and Kelleher. It just depends how much I want to spend. If I buy a 5 million goalkeeper, a 4 million goalkeeper as a backup is definitely going to happen. Or it's two 4.5 goalkeepers, or a 4.5 and a 4.0. So let's look at the budget options. We've got Valdemarson, Darlow and Kingsley. These are all just going to be sitting on my bench, so it doesn't really matter. But I would really like somebody that obviously comes in if there is an injury, but we don't know who that's going to be. I don't think any of them are actually going to start, so it doesn't really matter at the moment. Probably the lowest owned is probably better, because if one of these players doesn't start playing and everybody has him in your squad and then he starts getting sold, you probably lose 0.1 million on him. So I'd probably rather have somebody that's not going to start and not got a lot of ownership. So we will see in the next few days which goalkeeper I look to get. I'm still not sure what I'm going to do with the goalkeepers. I'm going to wait and see, but this is my shortlist up to now. There's a few goalkeepers at 5.5 like Raya and Pickford, but I don't really think I should be spending 5.5 on them yet. Arsenal's fixtures aren't the greatest at the moment. I know they're really good for clean sheets, but I don't really want to spend 5.5 when I don't think they're going to keep clean sheets in the first few games. I'd rather use my budget elsewhere and buy them on a wildcard in a few weeks. So next we're going to the Defender shortlist, and in the premiums we've got Aït-Nouri, Gabriel, Cucurella, Frimpong, Porro, Munoz. So there is a few other options in Gvardiol, Saliba and players like Kirkez, but these are the ones that I think are better for their sides. So right now I think Aït-Nouri is the best Man City asset over Gvardiol. I think Gabriel is the better option instead of Saliba, and I think Frimpong is the better option instead of Kirkez. I know I said in my last video I like to have players that have been in the league for a bit before I buy them, but I think Frimpong is probably better than Kirkez, just because Robertson is potentially backup for Kirkez and Bradley's obviously backup for Frimpong, and that is still a bit of a uncertainty. And I think the backup of Bradley is probably just like Trent's, and I think he'll only play when Frimpong isn't fully fit or rested near the back end of the game. I think Frimpong is more likely to play more games, so we will see. And I think he's got more of a chance of getting goals and assists, as he showed when he was at Bayer Leverkusen the last few seasons. Then we've got Pedro Porro. I know Tottenham haven't been that great last season, but I think he's the most attacking outlet for them. He's the one that's getting more chances of getting goals and assists. Now they've got a new manager, and I think they'll be a bit better than they was last season. And then lastly we've got Munoz, who was really good last season. He's gone up in price, but I think 5.5 isn't too much for him, so he's on the shortlist as well. And then into the mid-price, I've not actually put any 5 million defenders in there, but there is a few players in there. But I thought for the price, maybe 0.5 million saved is probably better on these ones. So first of all, we've got Konsa, who was in my draft last video, and I think he's still a really good option. And then the next option is Van de Ven. I did have a doggy in my first draft, but I think Van de Ven's probably the better option, just because of his short minutes. I think Udogie can start all the time, but I think there's still a little bit of uncertainty if he does start. I think Van de Ven's more likely to start every game, and he's also potentially going to get some bonus points with tackles and blocks and stuff like that. So Van de Ven's gone ahead of him, so I've gone with Van de Ven on this list. And then we've got Wan-Bissaka, Guehi and Decupia. All 3 of them was in my last draft, so yeah, they're still there in my shortlist. And then we've got Bogle that I've had a look at and thought, yeah, he could be a good option. There's not many people that are talking about him. 4.5 million from Leeds. I know Leeds are probably going to concede a bit more than normal, but I think he got 6 goals and 4 assists for Leeds last season. I know it's going to be a different beast when they're in the Premier League, that goals and assists might not come as often, but I think he's a really good option potentially to get goals and assists as well from a fullback position. So Bogle could be a good player to have, so I've added him to my shortlist. I'm not sure if he'll make it into my actual team, but yeah, I just wanted to flag of one player that has caught my eye. And then for the budget options, we've got Goodmanson, Rondon, Steve and Rialendo. I'll be honest, I don't really know much about most of these players, but for 4 million, they're really good options at that price. They've all been promoted, so there is a chance that they keep conceding goals, but at 4 million, they're probably the third choice on your bench, and then you spend the money elsewhere and make 0.5 million on somebody else that actually starts in your side. So it could be an option to buy one of them and have them as the third choice. And then if you do wildcard in a few weeks, you're at least buying somebody else in a few weeks that you know is going to be playing. But I do really like the 4.5 options because I think you're saving a lot of money, but you're also getting players that are going to be playing all the time and potentially get some decent points. So yeah, so that is my shortlist for the defenders. Let me know if I've missed anybody out. I'm here to listen to your options. I probably missed somebody out. It's only early days. So into the midfielder shortlist, and in the premiums, we've got Salah, Palmer and Saka. Salah and Palmer was in my first draft video a few days ago. Saka, he wasn't in it, but I'm still lining him up. He probably won't be bought for the first few game weeks, but at 10 million, I think he's still a good option. It'll be interesting to see how we get him into our side in the next few weeks when the Arsenal's fixtures start getting a bit better. But for right now, he's just on my shortlist and I won't really be buying him just yet, but I will be in the next few weeks because his consistency of getting goals and assists is right up there with the very best. Then into the mid-price midfielders, we've got Wirtz, who's signed from Bayer Leverkusen. He's just signed to the league, so I'm not sure if I want to buy him just yet. I think he'll be a really good asset, and I'm not going to say to anybody don't buy him, but for me right now, I'm not too sure if I want to buy somebody that just came into the league. It's something that I've done for a while. You just wait and see, because you can just buy them in game week 2, 3, 4 if he really impresses. But for right now, I'm thinking about just not buying him just yet. But for that price, he's a really good option. Then we've got Bruno Fernandes, and I know a lot of people are going to think, why are you getting Bruno Fernandes at 9 million? But I think he's still a good option. Now with the midfielder options of getting tackles and stuff like that, he could be somebody that actually starts getting a few bonus points as well as getting goals and assists from penalties and taking set pieces. So he could be a really good option. And with them having Kuna and Mbeumo signed and they're trying to get players like Sesko, they could be a really good attacking outlet, and he could be assisting these players that actually finish chances instead of missing them. And then next we've got 2 options from Man City. I did have Foden in my draft, but I did think to myself, I'm a little bit worried about his minutes, but he's still there in the shortlist. But I think Marmoush is probably a better option. At 8.5 million, he could be really good. Man City are going to be right up there with goals scored over the season, so Marmoush could be chipping in with a lot of goals and assists. I think Haaland's the most likely to get the goals, but Marmoush is probably second, and with the saving that you make from Marmoush from Haaland, it could be a really good option. And then lastly, we've got Rodgers. He was in my draft as well. And I think for 7 million, he's a really good option. They've got some really good fixtures. He's going to be the main man. Rashford and Asensio hasn't gone on loan to them this season, so he's even more assured of a place. And at 7 million, yes, he's gone up in price a little bit, but I think he's still a really cheap option. I think he'll be one that everybody really has in their side. And then for the budget options, they're not really massively budget options. I think they're still all a bit highly priced, but I think that's where you put your money in. And I think Enzo Fernandez is a really good option. I don't think he'll be one that many people buy. That's why I think he'll be a really good option. I think he'll get some bonus points for tackles and blocks and stuff like that, but he'll also get goals and assists like he did last season. I think he could kick on from what he did last season, getting into the box and getting some goals and assists. And then we've got Kudus, who's moved from West Ham to Tottenham. He wasn't in my side last draft, but I think he might make it into my next one. Then we've got Ndai. He's moved from a forward to a midfielder on the game, and at 6.5 million, probably take a lot of set pieces. Then we've got Tell, who moves on loan to Tottenham in January. He's not played that much, and he's not scored that many, but he could be a really good option moving forward. I don't think I'll buy him just yet because there is a few options at Tottenham, but if Son leaves, Tell could be one that really gets a good chance in the team. So at 6.5, he could be a good option. Then we've got Hudson-Odoi. Alanga moved on from Nottingham Forest. He was in my draft for them last time, but I'm not sure if I'll keep him in my side, but I think he's still an option to keep looking at because I think he'll start to get more goals and assists. Now Alanga's gone, maybe he'll take a bit more of the role of set pieces. And then lastly, we've got Caicedo at 5.5, and if the bonus points thing didn't come in, I probably wouldn't be buying him. I think with his bonus points, with tackles and interceptions, Caicedo could be right up there with the very best of getting points for midfielders. And he could get an extra 30-40 points from this, so he could be a really good option and getting up to 100 and odd points. And then lastly, we've got the forward shortlist, and in the premiums, we've got Haaland, Isaac, Watkins, and I'll put Gyökeres. I'm not sure what Gyökeres' price will be. He's not officially signed yet for Arsenal, but when he does sign, it'll be an interesting one to have a look at. He got a lot of goals in Portugal. He did well in the Championship at Coventry. It all depends how much he costs on the game, how much that compares to other players like Watkins and Isaac. Isaac in the last 24 hours has had a rumour that he wants to leave, so that could be an interesting one if he goes to Liverpool. I don't know how much 10.5 million is going to be worth it. Is Salah going to take a lot of his goals off him, or is he going to even improve him and he's going to get even more goals at Liverpool? I'm not too sure. It's going to be interesting. We've got Katike's already signed. It's going to be interesting if Liverpool do sign Isaac, what's going to happen. When he was staying at Newcastle, it could have been a really good option, but if he goes to Liverpool, I'm still a little bit uncertain. I'll probably wait and see how he gets on. He's a really good player, and don't get me wrong, if he's starting all the time and he's getting the goals and assists, he's a really good option. I think everybody will be buying him, but I'm still a little bit uncertain what happens with him yet, so I'm not too sure what I do with him. Haaland's Haaland, he's at 14 million. With the budget being so tight, I don't think many people are going to buy him, but he could be really good and start off the season like he did last season, so he's still somebody that you should be looking at. And then lastly, we've got Watkins, who's been linked to Man United the last few days. If he stays at Aston Villa, he's going to be a really key player for them. If he goes to Man United, you have Kuna and Buemo Fernandes setting him up with chances, so he could be a really good option. Then into the mid-price, and I've already alluded to, but Artike, 8.5 million, he's gone to Liverpool. He could be a really good option to buy. I'm just waiting to see what happens with Isaac. I'm not saying you can't buy him if Isaac moves to Liverpool, but I'm still a little bit unsure, mostly because he just moved to the Premier League. I like to wait and see how they get on in the Premier League because it's a tough league to start off with, so it's a hard transition, so I'm going to wait and see probably with him and see how he gets on first. But 8.5 million is a really good option. Then we've got Bowen, who's in my draft. 8 million, he's moved from a midfielder to a forward, but he's the more talismanic player for West Ham, with Kudus leaving even more, and West Ham's fixtures are pretty decent to start off with. Then we've got Dom Solanke. I think he's a really good option. He's not made it out my side. I think Solanke will be staying in my side at 7.5 million. Tottenham are probably going to do well. The fixtures are really good. Then we've got João Pedro. He didn't make it into my draft, and I was a little bit worried about his minutes, but I think he's a really good option at 7.5. If you trust that he's going to get all the minutes, then 7.5 for João Pedro in this Chelsea attacking side, which have got more goals and assists in them. I think there's going to be a really good option for us. And then we've got Chris Wood at Nottingham Forest, who did really well last season. I'm not too sure how they'll get on this season with Elanga leaving to Newcastle, and there's links that Morgan Gibbs-White might leave to Tottenham or to another side. Maybe they won't be as good this season, but we will see. But he's still an option because he's a clinical in front of goal. I don't think he gets as many chances as other players, but when he does get the chances, he finishes them. And then we've got Wissa, he's getting linked to Newcastle and other sides. I think if he stays at Brentford, he'll be the key player, but I don't think they're going to be as good without Mbeumo. So I don't think he'll be a really good option at Brentford. But if he goes to Newcastle and he's leading the line at Newcastle, he could be a really good option. Then into the budget options, we've got Evan Nielsen. He was in my draft last time. He's still in my draft at the moment, but at 7 million, he could be a good option. But there is other options at budget that are really good. There's Larson at Wolves. He did really well last season. He's probably the penalty taker now going into this season, so he could be a really good option at 6.5. He'll be probably leading the line all the time. Then there's Welbeck at Brighton, with João Pedro leaving and Ferguson leaving. Welbeck is probably going to get more game time and more chance of playing. He is a little bit injury prone, so I'm a little bit worried moving forward all the way through the season. But if he's fit, yeah, he's a good option to have. Then we've got Beto at 5.5. He's the cheapest option of the forwards I've got. I'm not too sure on him, but he's an option, and the Everton fixtures aren't too bad. And Everton have been a lot better since Moyes have been joined, but they've actually just moved to a new stadium, so we'll see how they get on in a new stadium. It's a bit different to playing in a new stadium. Does it feel like an away game for them? We will see how they get on. So then we have it for my shortlist at the moment. Obviously, there's going to be players that come into my shortlist and some players that go out, with transfers that come in, go out, and some players that don't start in pre-season, some players do, and it will be interesting who scores goals, who doesn't score goals, because there will be players that are not in my shortlist right now what will change. Let me know in the comment section if you've got some players that I've missed out on and you think I'm being stupid for not even talking about them. My aim is to get 200 subscribers before the season starts. I'm so close to doing it. So yeah, hit subscribe if you enjoy this content. There'll be loads of content going up over the season about FPL. And my aim for this video is to get 30 likes. So if you do like this video, hit the like button. And then lastly, if you do want me to help you out, get in the comment section and let me know, and I will reply to everybody that comments. So yeah, anyway, signing off, and I'll see you on the next one. Goodbye.